tell you though, we in the agriculture department are very, very close. We're very bonded by the awesome responsibility that we take on as agricultural educators. We not only feel that our mission is to educate, but it's also to carry on the traditions of those that have come before us. That we realize that who and what we are exists because of those that came before us. So I can't tell you the honor of having a Chuck Wade with us today, a man that's helped build who we are today, and whose history has helped to shape and develop where this program will go. So believe it or not, the bricks of the past, Egyptian bricks, so to speak, will make the future for what's going to be. So it's an awesome responsibility, as we believe, as an agriculture educator, to continue the tradition that the agriculture program has always believed in and has felt must continue even beyond the Chuck Wades, the Magdy Farises, the Chris Leggios, the Steve Perrys, and we pass it on to our younger generations. So we're so glad that the younger teachers are here in addition to those that have retired and those, Baruch Hashem, will retire soon to be. So I do salute you, Chuck Wade, for everything you've contributed to who and what we are today, and to Magdy Faris and to Chris Leggio, who's made this program what it is and has helped to add the continual bricks that will continue to make it what it's going to be. So I think in that vein, I have to tell you a little about the bricks that Magdy has formed as the base for this to be able to continue, and for the kids to be able to come back in years to come and to share, hopefully, with what other teachers have done. And Magdy has certainly built that foundation for it to help to be continued. So let me walk you through a little bit of what I believe Magdy Faris' life has been at John Bound. I was first introduced to Magdy Faris as one of the people who was to administer his small animal care test. A man who I guess came from the auto industry, and as a salesman in the auto industry knew whatever it was to seal the deal. So Magdy Faris didn't have that real small animal background. He had a lot more guts than I had. I was to take him into a small animal lab, and I was to test him on the different species of small animals, because that was the part of that exam at that time. So Magdy reached in with such guts that I would never have had to grab animals, to restrain animals, that I said, oh my God, this guy has so much guts. I would never have, and didn't flinch at the moment of having these animals, and I knew he didn't have the background in that, but was so determined to pursue this licensing career. So I said, this guy's going to be a keeper, because no matter what, there's nothing he's not going to take on. And that has been my experience with Magdy. It has never been, no, Steve, I can't. It's always been, show me what you want me to do. I'll take it on. I'll do it. And it began that day that I met him in that small animal lab. So I knew who he was and what he was going to be. So in addition to my friendship with him, which we'll talk about later, he was a guy that was going to succeed no matter what we gave him to do. And he did. Margaret saw it. I got the pleasure of being able to experience it and to develop together as a friendship along the way. So Magdy, when I think of Magdy, I think of many different areas. Shelley, you stole some of what I was going to say. I do think of the pushcart district. Those of us that know, I don't know from it, but my parents always told me about down in Delancey, Houston Street, the pushcart district. And Magdy resurrected that at John Bound when we run around with the carts, selling the different things. So when I think of Magdy, I think of a store that really, honestly, took the form that you see today from Magdy Faris. Okay, back years ago, the ag department had that same double door that you see in the store, and it was at the door of 138 of the ag department. They used to sell eggs and the vegetables right from the ag department. The store came later on, but never to the extent that we are today without Magdy building that. I have to tell you, he had a vision. He asked me to sign on. I did. He said, I won't fail you. He didn't, and he made it so much more than it was ever that I would envision it would be. He developed that store that you see down in the front of the building. No questions asked. That store exists because of Magdy. The push cart came afterwards. So that story exists. Also, I remember fondly Kathy and I going to the wholesalers with Magdy. And I would cringe. Because although everyone thinks I have this strong personality, I do shy when it becomes a little confrontational, believe it or not. So Magdy would go up to these people, these wholesalers, and he would say, "We're a school. You're not going to charge me what you charge industry." And they would say, "What are you talking about? It's a business." He said, "It may be a business for you. It's a school for us." And he would haggle with these wholesalers, with the wholesalers. But not to his gain. Not to Magdy's gain. What did he have to gain from it? Nothing. He was saving, not the DOE, the department, the agriculture department, the money. He was fighting for more money to be in the department to go to the kids. Kathy saw it. She was with me. We couldn't believe it. This guy went nose to nose with these wholesalers to save the kids the money so it would be more money to put into the program. I mean, really, read what you want to read about educators and then come see Magdy Faris. It was unbelievable. It was an education for me. I would say to myself, "Shut up, we'll spend the money. It's not mine, it's the DOE. No way. Haggling, how many of you have experienced the Magdy Faris haggle? He made you a special deal. Eggs were $2.50 a dozen, but if you buy 2 dozen, you got it for $5. Don't ask me how I do it, you got it. But don't tell your friends. 3 for 10. But you should afford it. Afford it. But Magdy, because it was the way Magdy presented it, he made nothing. The kids gained it all. That was Magdy Faris' role as an educator. So say what you want to say about the visions of education, about standards and all that. There's so much more to what he accomplished with these kids than we'll ever know. So let me walk you a little through it. Magdy Faris developed the first sales and marketing team that we had at Johnstown. The FFA has competitions. I know that the sports guys, they swing bats, wait, we compete within the fields, within the agricultural field. We began, and everything is valid. For those guys, for those kids, it's valid. For our kids, it's what's called CDEs, competitions within our field. Magdy was sales and marketing from the day he showed up, was strong in sales and marketing. Ag sales and marketing is one of the largest employing industries in agriculture. And Magdy developed a team from nothing. I don't have a background in that. None of us have a background in that. We're production people. Magdy was the ag business sales part of that. And he said, "Give me this team." And he developed a team that took first in the state. They took first in the state from a position that ag sales didn't exist in our program. But what I learned in going with these kids to these sales teams, it was more than just an ag sales team. It was these kids who wanted to produce for their father. And that's what Magdy taught me. That for a lot of these kids, he was not only their educator, he was not only their coach for the team, he served a lot more of a role. And he had to teach me that. And I didn't get it at first. And he used to oftentimes said to me, when some of these kids pissed me off with their arrogance and their gumption and their drive, "Steve, trust me. There's more than what you're seeing." He taught me. He was right. He was right. He took these kids on a journey that reinforced to them their validity, that they were valid in what they were doing, that this was not just to win this competition, but this was to indicate to these kids that you are validated. It's really important what you're doing. It's really significant in what you're accomplishing. He taught me that. I needed to learn it. But he did it gently. He did it respectfully. Those of you that got this from him or got this from him, you know the symbols. He did it in a gentleman's way. And that's what Magdy Faris is always, for me, going to be remembered for. He was not pushy. I'm pushy. He was not pushy. He was gentle. He was authoritative when it needed to be. But he taught me the importance of what an educator does behind the scenes. And that's what Magdy is. He's an educator behind the scenes. He brought a sales and marketing team to heights that we never would have accomplished without him. With that in mind, I need you to know Magdy Faris retired, I guess as of the fall, but Magdy Faris still showed up in Kentucky on his own dime to go with that team that he practiced with and produced at Kentucky. All of a sudden, we're at the Kentucky competitions in a hotel in, where the hell were we? Louisville. How people would choose to live there is beyond me. Magdy Faris showed up at this hotel to coach this team. He pretty much dismissed us, wanted us to get the hell away, and he managed this team. And he brought this team to their competition. This team, by the way, won states, first in New York State, and competed on a national level. There were 60,000 kids at this competition, by the way. They didn't really feel comfortable until he showed up. Again, a reinforcement of not only was he their teacher, he was so much more in their lives. He taught us. He taught us. You know, I have to tell you, in putting this together, I so wanted to roast him. Those of you who know me long enough know it's my style. Yeah. You'll forgive me, but I wanted to make his asshole pucker a little bit. But I can't tell you. I can't. I'll tell you why. There's so many deep lessons that Magdy taught me in ways that I know you can understand, but I can't articulate to you. I'm not creative enough. I'm not suave enough. I know when Popper can do it, a Fran show movement. I can't do it. I was raised, by a rough guy. But I have to tell you, I can't roast him. I can't. It's not appropriate for what Magdy taught me, and I believe taught these kids. So those of you that are looking for a little bit of, it's not going to happen. Well, maybe a little. Because I'll tell you a little about Magdy. The only thing that I had for Magdy was could you stop wearing dress slacks and shoes on the farm? And you stop coming in loafers into the field. What are those things called? The canvas. He used to wear these canvas. I mean, what the hell is that? But I guess Magdy's style in teaching was to be not formal, but to be in a position where the kids looked at him as the educator. He never wore a pair of jeans in front of him. I've never seen it. I've never seen him in a pair of jeans. He couldn't do it. He used to tell me when he did the farm visits, after he did the farm visits, he'd pull on a side of the road and vomit a little. Am I lying? Only with the farmer. We had a farmer who used to kiss her pigs. But he never would. Suffering of her, she should rest in peace, she's dead. Magdy wishes. But this was an animal, this was a rescue place, this was a farm sanctuary. So this woman was very scary. Have you ever seen, did you ever watch House on Haunted Hill? Not familiar to you at all? No? Were you raised in the city at all? Alright, forget it. Okay, anyway. So, the only thing I will say is Magdy was the best dressed farmer I've ever seen in my life. Best dressed. Also, those of you look on the tables, he was our resident, and is our resident photographer. The pictures you see were all taken by Magdy. Magdy was also, had a lot more insight than I had, and believed that you have to capture every moment of every success and some failures of our program. And I didn't understand the depths of that. I didn't. But Magdy fought me to buy that thing, I don't know, where you store the pictures and all that crap and all the electronics. And he kept it going and going and going. And I didn't understand the importance of it until downtown would say, you want your funding? Send me something. Magdy, can you give me the pictures? He had the pictures. Could you put together a storyboard? He put together the storyboard. He taught me the importance of recording history, not forgetting why we are, who we are, and where we are because of the past. His pictures tell a story. Look, you see on the table. You see a lot of our progress, the things that we've done, all the activities we've been involved in, that I didn't understand at that point, as an early on, when we came on together, the importance of documenting who and what we are. Magdy has a sense of history. Magdy has a sense of remembering who we are, where we came from, and the important things in our lives. And he's taught me that. And I thank him, and I know he's passed that on to the kids as testimonials today. And they are but two of the hundreds of kids that call Magdy Daddy, Papa Magdy, Daddy Faris, Daddy Faris. It's amazing. It's amazing. Many of us will never reach that height of our career. What an accomplishment. What an accomplishment. To think that they have to argue to pay teachers what they need to pay teachers. Huh? A sin. A sin. So we talk about Papa for many of the kids in our program. Magdy was the advocate. Magdy was the teacher who came to me to fight for kids that pissed us off, that pissed other teachers off in the department. I'm not going to lie to you. They do piss us off. We in the ag department expect a lot, and we expect you to rise to our expectations. We didn't realize that expectations are very dependent upon the players that you're dealing with. Magdy got into their souls. Magdy got into who and what they were. He's just a special guy. I'm not eloquent enough to articulate it to you. He taught me more than he'll ever know that he taught me, but he showed us you need to look beyond what you see. I guess there were things in his life that occurred. There were instances that taught him to look beyond what you see. And he taught us to do the same with our own Aggies. And here we thought we were the agriculturalists. We were the people who were really touching souls of kids. And as I look at my teachers here, I can tell you the different followers that they had. So I'm very thankful for everything that they've done. Magdy, I have to tell you, you had a different client of kids that would have been lost in the shuffle if not for you educating me. And I promise you, they won't be lost in the shuffle from here on for the next 3 years at least. And then again, those of you who look out from your windows into the courtyard, what do you see? What do you see?
Peacocks.
You see peacocks, which is against Magdy Faris' beliefs. But what you see is another hand that Magdy Faris has laid upon not only a piece of land, but a student who maintains that Magdy Faris built that courtyard with special education students that were part of our agriculture program, that were able to meet success because they met with Magdy Faris. Some of these kids, you've had them, were throwaways. So we thank you for throwing them to Magdy. Because Magdy taught them hand to soil, hand to ground, hard work, sign on to what I'm doing, I'll show you the finished product. You see the finished product. These kids had pride in walking me through, in walking the DOE suits through, and that's where we always went, to the store, to the courtyard, to the farm from Chris Leggio. These were the products of these kids that made us look like big shots, but it was the kids. Magdy developed that entire courtyard. I made him a deal, and to God to that deal, that courtyard will be maintained with the Magdy Faris work ethic, and will be always dedicated formally, my friend, as well as informally, to Magdy Faris' goals and aspirations. Know that courtyard was built by these special education students that Magdy empowered to believe in themselves. And today, still some of those kids are still here, two that come to mind, you know who they are, that are very confident young men today because Magdy built them up. And he fought with me to employ them, to get them certified and get them employed at the Queens Botanic Gardens. And I have to tell you, it's with guilt a little bit that I tell you, I didn't see it until he showed me. I didn't see it until he showed me. So we're very blessed. We were touched. You were sent to us, my friend. You were sent to us. You were sent to us. And I believe that with my heart and soul. You were sent to me for other reasons, but you were sent to us to show us the kind spirit to kids. And that's what Magdy Faris' focus was. He didn't care if he pissed off some of us, and he pissed us off. He pissed us off. But how do you argue with it? Because the goal was the kid. So if we were the throwaway, the kid was the keep. I'm in. And I didn't see it right away. Over and over I'll say it because it's my way of apologizing. I didn't see it right away. And then finally we go to the farm stand. A lot of you missed the farm stand because you're on Oscar from Angel. So they know him as well. Everywhere this guy went, I would shrivel thinking he's pissing them off. Shut up, Maggie, you're pissing them off. He wasn't pissing them off. They admired his spirit because unlike the retailers that were there, you know, we go to wholesalers, it's all retailers, the stores. Maggie was fighting for a school for kids. There was no financial gain. What did he gain by bargaining with them? Nothing. Nothing. It was for the school and the kids. And they remembered him. I never would have imagined. Dennis from Penna. Otto Kyle from Kyle Wholesale. All know Magdy Faris because there was respect that he would bargain and piss them off for the kids and the program. While the retailers were doing it for personal gain, there was no personal gain for him. When he sold you the 2 for $5, there was no personal gain. There was no personal gain. And those of you who bought the specials the last day, it was you or the compost pile. No personal gain. No personal gain. Professional gain. Magdy, you should know, you are an educator among educators. You are a person who is an advocate for kids. What's better? What's greater? What's more God's work than that? I'm so happy to know you. I'm so blessed that I was given the opportunity to work with you, and I just look forward to continued friendship with you. You've taught me, I think, more lessons than you taught these snot noses. More than you'll ever know. More than you'll ever know. I love you.
آه روح سلم عليه.
I went into the business world as soon as I came. Decided to leave the business world, as Kathy said. When I came to Bound, I felt like I'm stepping into a family with all that means, you know. As soon as I stepped in, I still remember how everybody surrounded me as a family. I used to go to the school to feel the family feelings. Everyone here has a family somewhere around them. And when I have only my immediate family, my wife and my kids. But the real family was the school. Stepped in, Chris says to me, no, there are things needs to be tuned. Come and join, see me how I'm doing things. And I will show you how to do it. Chuck, right away, started to show me what he's doing in the greenhouse and what's going on. Sam Shapiro showed me how to work out the manuals, not tying the books around. Remember that? And I'm sitting in the classrooms and I see somebody looking from the window. It was Ellen Popper. And when I opened the door, she's having some candies for me. How could I forget these things? You know, I'm surrounded with all this love. How can I not produce? I have to produce. And the family getting bigger and bigger. The new people come into school, new people that I know, and all of a sudden we have that click in different ways. As the age goes, 40s and 50s, I started to have my children too. You know, it's really very good feelings. I have a story with everybody, but the stories is always like a family story. Zizi, in the summertime, Magdy, let's collect the money and get the lunch. We'll go to Jethro, we'll get wholesale, steak and all the stuff and fish, and we'll do barbecue. She left, and that's part of the family also. Got us all together to be around. And I can keep talking about everybody. Judy, when she sees me in the beginning, and I was like in the school, I don't know what to do. She used to give me a hug and say, it's okay, you'll be all right. And she used also to come and watch me, look at me from the classroom windows. All these feelings really great. As we go proceeding further to expand into the sales team and marketing team, as Steve said, I was going with Russ. I never went to the state convention. Russ said to me, you have to come with me. I went with Russ. And he said, you see, you have a sales team over here. Russ, I don't want to be involved with FFA. He said, no, start it. Don't worry about it. We'll support. We'll get you everything that you need. And he gave me the push to do it. It's not like, every part of the road, it has somebody to support. Of course, I have to produce. My kids, when I communicated with my kids as my family, I consider them like my own kids. And here what I see today. The kids are attached to me. How many years they have been graduated? And others too. They already called me on the phone. Lots of them called me on the phone. And they're in touch with me continuously. And they consider themselves as my kids, and I see them as my kids. This attachment, that no words can explain it. It comes naturally, it comes from the heart to them. Patricia is telling me today that she remembers when she was in my freshman class, and she was wearing yellow. And I called her Patty Lemon. Patty Lemon answered that question. Patty Lemon took this. And she still remembered that. So how can I not produce? How can I feel comfortable? I have to feel comfortable. I have to do more and more because this is my family and this is my environment. Thank you all for being here today. I thank you for your love. That gives me